I've encountered many peculiar situations in my life. I've seen women gripped by the fear of poverty, even when surrounded by abundance, and men toiling endlessly, just inches away from true fortune. Their downfall was in their words. They simply didn't grasp the truth. Your mouth is the gateway to creation. A carelessly spoken word can often steal your good fortune, but when you train your mouth, when it serves your spirit instead of your fears, the entire world bends to your will. You might protest, but I was just joking. Yet, your subconscious doesn't joke. It obeys. It takes your whispers as law and your light-hearted remarks as instructions. That's why I insist you speak only of unlimited supply, and speak as if it's already here. I remember a time when I was a young illustrator, with more paintbrushes than provisions. Many mornings, I'd gaze at my tea and toast, wondering, will this be enough? But the day I boldly declared, divine supply is mine, and there is plenty of it, was the day everything began to shift. People called it luck, but no, my dear, I was simply obedient to spiritual law. I refused to acknowledge lack, even when appearances screamed it. I dressed, walked, and most importantly, spoke like wealth, and soon my world mirrored my words. I recall a client, a woman who arrived in tattered clothes, her voice trembling. "Miss Shinn," she whispered, "I have no money, no prospects, no hope." I smiled, as I always do when the Spirit is about to perform a miracle. I told her, "You have your word, and that is the seed of all treasure." We started small. Every day, she declared, "My supply is endless, inexhaustible, and immediate." She didn't believe it at first, few do, but she spoke it repeatedly until the vibration of her voice aligned with her destiny. Within 3 weeks, an inheritance was discovered, not by chance, but by law. So I tell you now, train your mouth. Don't let it babble in despair, or grumble in complaint. When asked how you are, say, better and better. My world is overflowing with good. When your bank account is low, say, divine substance is flowing through me now, and I expect miracles. The spoken word is your wand. You must learn to wave it only toward your kingdom. Let me offer you 4 key principles for mastering your tongue and summoning unlimited supply. Speak as if it's already here first. Speak as though your good is already present. Never say I hope. Instead, declare, it is done. The language of the divine is not hesitant. It is authoritative. The biggest mistake in the spiritual game of manifestation is speaking of blessings as if they are distant, always arriving, never here. When you say, I hope this happens, you're already envisioning its absence. You're praying without power, affirming lack with the faint scent of desperation. But when you declare, it is done, the heavens themselves respond, for that is the tone of divine authority. The law of attraction isn't a beggar's plea, it's a king's decree. It doesn't respond to hope, begging, or weeping at the altar of circumstance. It's moved only by conviction, spoken clearly, firmly, and without question. The one who speaks from the end result, not just the journey, will find the journey swift, sweet, and rich with wonders. A gentle soul, trembling with worry, once asked me, Miss Shinn, how can I speak of riches when I see none? How can I say I'm supplied when my purse is empty? I looked her in the eye, smiled, and replied, speak it because it is law. Speak it because the visible is always preceded by the invisible. Speak it because truth isn't determined by appearances. The spoken word creates the mold, and that mold, though unseen, is more real than the gold itself. How can a cabinet maker build without a pattern? How can spirit fulfill your request if your voice doesn't send the order? Your good already exists, not as potential, but in principle. The divine storehouse is perpetually full. Supply is complete, waiting. But the key to the door is your affirmation. If you speak as though it's not yet there, the door remains shut. You must learn the sacred language of already, the tongue of completion. Say, the money is here. Say, the opportunity has arrived. Say, my manifestation is at hand. When you speak this way, the universe declares, she has claimed it. Let it be delivered. Don't be confused. You're not lying. You're speaking a higher truth, the unseen truth, beyond what your eyes and ears report. That is the art of spiritual vision. That is the secret of instant manifestation. You see beyond the veil, and with your words, you tear it open. Every word is a seed. If you say, someday I'll be wealthy, you've planted a tree that never bears fruit, for someday never arrives. But if you say, I am wealthy now, I am aligned with the flow of abundance. You root your prosperity in the eternal now, and now is the only time spirit moves. People think faith is a feeling. No, dear one, faith is a stance. It's how you stand in the invisible. When the rent is due, and the purse is thin, faith speaks. There is always a way. Infinite supply is flowing. I give thanks for divine provision. That isn't delusion, that's manifestation. Words aren't just sounds, they are creative currents. They shape unseen substance into form. The one who boldly and repeatedly declares their good bends the laws of energy to their will. Speak daily. Everything I need is already prepared. I walk into the place prepared for me. Your subconscious listens. The ether obeys. To activate the law of prosperity, you must sound the trumpet of assurance. No whisper of doubt, no murmur of maybe will move mountains, but one firm declaration: God is my supply, and supply is limitless, will shake the earth beneath your feet and usher in miracles. In my early teaching days, I, too, was tempted to say, I hope this works, when a student was desperate, but I quickly learned such talk hinders results. I trained my tongue to speak only as one who knows. And time and again, I saw barren wallets bloom, lost loves return, debts dissolve, and doors open wide. One woman had waited years for a certain home to appear. Every day she said, I hope I find it. I told her, change your words, say, my perfect home is already mine. I see it, I live in it, I give thanks for it. She obeyed. Within 1 week, the exact house, right down to the ivy and rosewood trim, was offered to her below asking price. Not coincidence, demonstration. Your mouth is a magic wand, but a wavering wand yields no miracles. Say it straight, say it now, say it often. My good is here, even if your mind doubts. Keep speaking. Even if fear stirs, keep affirming, for the word spoken with faith is stronger than the doubt whispered within. Every great miracle began with a bold affirmation. It is done. Speak thus. Speak often. Speak as though heaven itself leans forward to grant your every word. And know that it does. Bless what you have second. Bless what you have and never curse your bills. Say, this bill is paid with joy, and I rejoice in circulation. For money is like blood. It must flow to remain alive. I've long observed the curious way people treat money. They adore it when it arrives and despise it when it departs. They cradle it when it's abundant and curse it when it's lacking. But money, dear ones, isn't to be feared or conditionally loved. It's to be understood. Money isn't a goal. It's a servant, a river, a sacred current of energy that flows where it's welcomed and dries up where it's resented. The law of prosperity cannot operate in a mind filled with complaints. I've met souls who declared themselves spiritual but cringed at the mention of bills. They'd tithe with gritted teeth, pay rent with a sigh, and every purchase felt like a burden. I tell you plainly, this isn't the way to manifest abundance. For what you resent, you push away, and what you bless, you multiply. Money is circulation, and circulation is the rhythm of divine law. When the heart beats, blood flows. When the lungs breathe, air moves. And when you give joyfully, when you pay bills with thanksgiving, you keep the law of circulation alive in your affairs. But when you give with resistance, when you view your bills as enemies, you choke the current and invite stagnation. A woman once came to me, nearly in tears. Miss Shinn, she said, the mailman is my enemy. He only brings bills. I smiled gently and replied, then bless the mailman, for the bills he brings are signs that someone has trusted you with their service. Bless the gas, the electricity, the groceries. These aren't punishments. These are privileges. You see, a bill is evidence that you've already received. The lights burned, the water flowed, the food was eaten. You've already enjoyed your blessing. Now is your chance to complete the circle by paying with joy. That is the law of return, the most powerful spiritual principle in money manifestation. The moment you say, I can't afford this, or, these bills are killing me, you declare a law, and it must come to pass. Your subconscious accepts your decree and begins to arrange your affairs accordingly. But if instead, you say, every bill is a love note from the universe, reminding me of all I've received, I pay this with joy and send it forth to bless another. You activate the abundance mindset. You keep the spiritual money flow alive. I recall a gentleman who hated paying his rent. Every month he grumbled and waited until the last hour. His landlord matched the energy, always irritable, never kind. I gave him a new affirmation. My rent is paid in full with joy and grace. I rejoice in a lovely home and a peaceful exchange. The very next month, he said these words before sending his check. Not only did he receive a kind thank you note from the landlord, but a week later, he received unexpected work, double the amount of his rent. That, dear friends, is the boomerang of blessing. What you send out must return. When you curse your bills, you curse your own financial flow. But when you speak blessings over them, when you affirm circulation, you open the gate to divine financial increase. To build true financial freedom, you must begin where you are, not with millions in the bank, but with the very next bill. Take it in your hand, smile at it, and say aloud, you are paid in full by divine substance. I give thanks that money comes easily and continuously. I rejoice in the flow of wealth. That declaration alone will begin to change your vibration. The universe isn't impressed by numbers, it responds to vibration. When you vibrate in gratitude, when you vibrate in peace, money flows to match your tone. That's the great secret of money energy. It goes where it is appreciated. It stays where it is loved. Money doesn't come from people. It comes through people. And when you understand this, you release all fear of not having enough. Your source is unlimited. The bank isn't your source. Your job isn't your source. Spirit is your source. And spirit is infinite. So, bless your purse. Bless your bank account. Bless your employer. Bless the landlord. Bless the grocer. Say aloud, I bless this outgoing money and know it returns to me multiplied in divine timing and perfect ways. That's the path to true wealth attraction. When you curse your bills, you're telling the universe, I regret receiving, and so it withholds the next blessing. But when you give thanks for each payment, you say, I am ready for more, and more shall come. Every dollar is an ambassador. Every bill is a bridge. When money flows out, don't fear it. Smile, wave it off with grace, and say, go forth and prepare the way for your return, for return it shall. I've paid many bills in my time, some in lack, some in plenty. But I learned to say, whether the purse was heavy or light, there is always more where that came from. Divine supply never runs dry, and indeed it never has. Speak well of money, speak well of bills, rejoice in circulation. For the money that flows through your hands isn't leaving you. It's blessing you and returning. With friends, correct idle speech immediately. Third, correct idle speech immediately. If you say, I can't afford it, pause and cancel it, replacing it with, I choose to spend wisely from an overflowing supply. In my many years of teaching spiritual truth, I've watched people sabotage their good, not with great sins, but with small sentences. It's not the violent outburst that blocks abundance. It's the quiet complaint. It's the careless phrase spoken at breakfast, the sigh uttered while paying the grocer, the whisper of defeat that the subconscious captures and begins to mold into reality. What the world calls harmless chatter, I call the language of delay. The subconscious mind isn't clever or analytical. It's faithful. That's its only trait. It doesn't judge whether your words are fact or fiction. It only receives them as law. That's why your idle speech must be watched as one watches a sleeping child near a flame. It's not your emotions alone that shape your destiny. It's your spoken word, repeated and affirmed with feeling, even when spoken lightly. A woman once told me, Miss Shinn, I only say I'm broke when I'm joking. I told her, there are no jokes to the subconscious mind. It doesn't understand humor. It understands rhythm, tone, repetition. And if you sing poverty often enough, it will play it back in the symphony of your life. So you must become a student of your own language. You must catch yourself the moment you say, I'll never have enough. Nothing ever works out for me, or it's too hard. And at once, not later, not in reflection, but in the very breath that follows, cancel it, erase it, replace it. You might say aloud, that is not the truth. The truth is, everything is working in divine order. I am supplied, supported, and selected for prosperity. Spoken word correction isn't spiritual weakness. It's spiritual mastery. Just as a gardener pulls the weed before it can take root, so must the spiritual aspirant pull every word of lack, limitation, fear, and defeat from the soil of the mind. When you say, I can't afford that, you've locked yourself in a cage built by your own mouth. But when you say, I choose to invest wisely from my infinite supply, you return to your throne. You speak as one who governs her kingdom with calm. I remember once walking past a grand shop in New York filled with silks and imported lace. I admired a certain shawl, and the thought flashed, oh, but I couldn't buy that. At once I caught it and replaced it with, if it is for me, it cannot be kept from me. My good now flows in expected and unexpected ways. I walked on. 2 weeks later, a student gifted me the very shawl I had admired. Not coincidence, but the correction of my speech, aligning me with my supply. To correct speech is to redirect destiny. To allow idle words to pass unchecked is to allow destiny to drift. Now, don't be alarmed by a slip of the tongue, for we are all human. But be vigilant. If you say something contrary to truth, don't let it stand. Speak over it. Speak louder. Overwrite it with a declaration of faith. This is the spiritual law of mental substitution, where one thought is replaced by another of higher vibration. Let's take the most common phrase of all, I'm tired. If you say it enough, your energy shall obey. Instead, try, my body is divinely restored. I walk in new strength. Or, when tempted to say, that's too expensive, say instead, I trust in divine timing. If it is mine, it will come to me easily. Every word has a vibration, and your voice is the tuning fork. You are setting the tone for your financial atmosphere. If your words are heavy, slow, and full of lack, your manifestation will be sluggish. If your words are light, joyful, and expectant, your demonstration shall arrive on wings. Don't allow the voices of others to become your vocabulary. If the people around you speak only of hard times, recession, and survival, you must rise above. You must declare, that may be your truth, but it is not mine. I live by divine economy, which knows no drought. Children learn language by repetition, and so does the subconscious. Repeated declarations become identity. So don't merely think abundance, speak abundance. Let it pour from your mouth in the morning and echo through your prayers at night. Say, I am aligned with wealth. My income increases daily. Opportunities seek me. I am a magnet for divine compensation. This practice isn't vanity or foolishness. It's spiritual hygiene, a cleansing of the tongue so that the soul may speak its truth without obstruction. If your world isn't yet what you wish it to be, don't. Examine your past. Examine your language. What have you said about money, about love, about time, about life itself? For every outer event was first a word whispered or shouted that took root and blossomed into form. The key to transformation lies in the moment after the mistake. When you slip, don't scold yourself. Don't regret. Simply speak again. Speak better, speak higher, and continue walking. Train your tongue as you would train a wild bird with gentleness, repetition, and clarity, and soon it will sing only songs of truth, and your world will begin to reflect the harmony of your new song. Align your words with spirit forth. Remember that your word sets spiritual law in motion. You don't have to work for your abundance. You must align. And alignment begins on the tongue. The tongue is but a small member, but it can set the forest ablaze with wealth or with waste, with faith or with fear. As for me, I chose wealth, not because I chased it, but because I declared from the moment I trained my mouth to speak only divine supply. Life ceased to be a guessing game and became a guided path. The right doors opened, the wrong ones closed. I needed not to hustle or plead, I simply had to speak. So today, I charge you to speak only of increase. Train your words as you would a wild horse until they carry you exactly where you wish to go. And remember, the universe is listening. Speak as though it cannot fail you, and it won't. There's a truth many souls never grasp, and because they miss this key, they wander, struggle, and wait in vain for their good to appear. The truth is this: your work doesn't make you rich, your word does. Your labor alone cannot draw the abundance you seek. It's not the hands that create wealth, but the tongue that sets it in motion. For the spoken word is the messenger of spirit. It carries instruction to the invisible realms where substance awaits direction. So many toil under the delusion that striving is the secret to success. They overexert, overthink, and overplan, never understanding that they are misaligned with the law of effortless manifestation. I've seen clever minds and diligent workers remain in lack, while those who speak rightly, who affirm their divine supply and move in faith, receive blessings beyond logic or wage. You are not here to earn your good by hardship. You are here to receive it by alignment, and alignment begins with the word. When your word is true, calm, expectant, and full of praise, the law is set in motion. Angels of supply begin to move. Doors open. Invisible forces rearrange the visible world. But when your word is anxious, resistant, full of doubt or complaint, the law halts. It honors your tone. The law of divine manifestation responds to spoken authority, not to pleading, not to perfection, not to proof. When you speak, I am guided by infinite intelligence, and my good is unfolding now. You are not simply making a statement, you are issuing a spiritual command, and the universe, being obedient by nature, begins to shift accordingly. I once had a student who worked tirelessly in a shop. She would say, "I've done everything right, but nothing seems to change." I told her, "Then speak, declare it, done. Align your voice with the result, not with the effort." She began to affirm, "Daily, my supply comes effortlessly. I am divinely compensated for all that I give." Within a month, she was offered a position double her salary, with half the labor. This, dear ones, is not luck, it is law. When the mouth aligns with spirit, the earth must respond. The subconscious mind, which is the link between the spiritual and material world, listens not to your plans, but to your proclamations. If your proclamations are weak, indecisive, or fear-filled, the results will reflect the same. But if you rise each morning and declare with unwavering tone, "Everything I need is rushing to me now. My path is cleared, my blessings are due," then you set the wheels of spiritual law into motion. You see, abundance is always present, not something to be chased, but something to be revealed. And revelation comes through alignment. If the radio isn't tuned to the right frequency, the music is still playing, but it cannot be heard. Likewise, your prosperity is already singing its song, but you must tune your words to its melody. Your tongue must become a tool of precision, not a scattergun of fear, not a facet of complaint. You must train your speech to bless only, to declare only what you wish to experience. Speak only of health, wealth, right companionship, and peace. Never describe your life as it is. If it doesn't match your vision, describe it as it is becoming. For the moment you speak it, the future takes shape. Words have vibration, and vibration builds form. Your current reality is only the echo of past speech. If you desire a new reality, one filled with financial freedom, love, creativity, and divine order, you must become a new voice. You must speak as one already there, for in spirit, you are. If a soul says, "I'll believe it when I see it," they will never see it. But the one who says, "I speak it because I know it exists," walks in power. That is the essence of spiritual alignment, to align your word with divine truth, even when the facts appear contrary. Facts may change, but truth endures, and your good is truth, not theory. There is no virtue in struggle. The lilies do not toil, the birds do not budge, and yet they are fed, clothed, and kept in harmony with nature's rhythm. So too must you trust the rhythm of the law. But first, you must speak in rhythm with it. Begin now to observe your words. Do they build or break? Do they command or question? Do they expect or worry? In every hour, you are speaking either into alignment or delay. The tongue is the rudder. If it wavers, the ship will drift. But if it is steady, confident, and directed toward truth, the ship reaches the harbor with ease. So don't say, "I'm trying to manifest abundance." Say, "I live in abundance. It is my natural state." Don't say, "I hope I'll receive what I need." Say, "My needs are always met in divine timing and order." These are not affirmations of wish. They are affirmations of alignment. They anchor you in spiritual law and draw to you what has already been prepared. And so I remind you again, you need not work harder, strive louder, or force the result. You need only to align your mouth with the truth of who you are, a spiritual being with unlimited access to divine supply. Speak from that place, and every good thing must come. And so, dear ones, I say to you now, let your mouth become the high priest of your soul. Speak only of your kingdom, not your cave. Speak not from what you see, but from what you know in spirit to be true. For though appearances may waver, the word stands firm. You must speak as though your blessings have already arrived. See yourself in possession of the very thing you desire, and speak from that place. Never say someday. Say, "It is here now." That is the language of manifestation, and heaven listens to it with joy. You must bless what you have and bless it as it leaves you. Every bill, every dollar, every expense is simply love in transit. Rejoice in the flow of money. For as long as it flows, it lives, and as long as you bless it, it multiplies. You must guard your tongue from idle complaint. Cancel every word of lack the moment it escapes your lips. Replace it quickly with words of truth. I can't becomes I choose. I lack becomes I overflow. In this way, you rewire the current of your life, one declaration at a time. Above all, remember this sacred law. It is not effort that brings your manifestation. It is alignment, and alignment begins on the tongue. Speak rightly, and your feet will walk straight. Declare peace, and your body shall follow. Declare wealth, and your affairs will arrange themselves in order. The word is your wand. Use it not carelessly, but consciously. Use it not to describe the storm, but to call forth the sun. Let your words be laced with praise, your affirmations spoken with power, your declarations sealed with faith. For when your mouth speaks only of unlimited supply, supply shall never cease. And the game of life, which once felt heavy, will become a dance light, free, and full of divine surprises. So speak, and speak as one who knows.